Graphic Igor Lazarevic. With a German Football League regular season over and the playoffs looming this weekend, we have added two new categories to our compilation, sacks and interceptions, with a surprising leader in the sack category. Interestingly, the Kiel Baltic Hurricanes finished with 3 players among the top 5 in 3 categories, with 2 players leading. The Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns had the top passing QB and 2 of the 5 top receivers. The Braunschweig New Yorker Lions, with the league's best defense, had 2 players in the top 5 in 2 offensive categories. However, the Munich Cowboys had 4 players in the top 5 in 3 defensive categories, while the Marburg Mercenaries had 3. Passing. Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns quarterback Marco Ehrenfried maintained his passing yardage lead over the final 3 games of the regular season, finishing with 3,735 yards and 46 TDs. Casey Theriault of the New Yorker Lions climbed into second with his 3,459 passing yards, while Dresden Monarchs QB Garrett Safran moved into third in passing yardage with 3,302 yards and 44 TDs. Rick Webster of the English Todd Dukes missed 3 games but still finished with 3,279 yards, good for 4th. Australian Jared Stegman of the Kiel Baltic Hurricanes wound up 5th with 2,746 and a league-leading 45 TDs. Receiving. Kiel WR Xavier Mitchell had a monster year and led the league in receiving for almost the entire season despite playing QB in 2 games. He finished with 1,297 yards receiving and 17 receiving TDs. Alexander Tunkara of the Berlin Rebels climbed all the way up to second with 1,282 yards and 15 TDs. Tyler Rudenbach of the Schwäbisch Hall Unicorns pulled up to third with a late-season surge and wound up with 1,184 yards and 15 TDs, with teammate Nate Robitaille right behind him in fourth with 1,134 yards. Marburg Mercenaries Philip Lanieri ended up in 5th place with 1,126 yards. Rushing. Kiel Baltic Hurricanes RB Chris McClendon had a rushing year to remember in the German Football League. Leading the rushing stats from wire to wire, he finished with 2,112 yards and a league-best 20 TDs. His closest rival, RB Kevin Parks of the Cologne Crocodiles, finished with 1,502 yards, while New Yorker Lions RB David McCants wound up third with 1,400 yards and 14 TDs for another phenomenal season. Frankfurt's Silas Nasita finished 4th with 1,259 yards and 14 TDs. Joe Bergeron of the Dresden Monarchs climbed steadily and claimed 5th with his 1,048. Tackling. Michael Taylor of the Marburg Mercenaries maintained his lead for the last half of the season and was a force in every game, finishing with 156 tackles. Teammate Neil Howie was outstanding down the stretch and finished with 131 tackles, good for second. Algo Comets Pound Niall Patton finished third with 127, while Jeremiah Maluya of the Munich Cowboys wound up 4th with 124. His teammate Ryan Newell, despite missing a couple of games, wound up 5th, also with 121 tackles. Interceptions, while Marburg Mercenaries Phil Lanieri is 4th with 6. Winding up the top 5 was Bernd de Koning of the Berlin Adler, who had 5 picks. Frankfurt Photo. See Sports Picks.